With Love, Meghan, Holiday Banality, Part 2. Hello, I'm HG Tudor. I continue with the analysis of this one's wife's holiday special. Will has arrived. Yes, it's Will Guidera, the restaurateur. Naturally, this one's wife asserts control over him from the off with a hug. Naturally, this is her go-to methodology. And she tells us that she's obsessed with his book, layering on some flattery because, of course, he's painted white. He's a non-intimate secondary source in her fuel matrix and is being treated to favourable behaviour. Will. Well, what about Will? Well, you'll find out as I explain exactly why he's been selected as a guest. He's apparently a friend of this one's wife, although it would seem more to be the case that this one's wife is friends with his wife, and so he's been bolted on. But anyway, Will lets us know that it's the first time that he's felt the Christmas spirit this year, even if it is summer 2024. There's then some meaningless chit-chat, and this one's wife triangulates him in a benign way in relation to his wife. He nibbles on a gougere, and then, naturally, it's time for this one's wife to get down to what she likes doing best. Oh, no, not that. It's meant to be a family programme. What she likes doing second best. Yes, drinking. It's time for some day drinking. So she offers him a beverage. She suggests either a Barolo or some bubbles. He opts for the Barolo. And Will then tells us that people often forget about why people are invited to dinner. And it's not about eating the food, it's about having a connection. One of the favourite words of this one's wife. And as he explains this one's wife nods in a sagely fashion, giving her approval with a confirmatory nod and a yes as he's speaking her language. She then explains to us that apparently there's nothing more stressful than watching a stressed-out hostess. I should imagine performing brain surgery could be quite stressful. I could imagine watching your stock plummet and realise that bankruptcy looms. That could be quite stressful. I could imagine the fact of watching your child on a ventilator in a hospital. That could be quite stressful. So I think there's plenty of things that are more stressful than watching a stressed out hostess. But of course, in the world of this one's wife, that's what it has to all be about. Will then tells us about great dinner parties, and he explains that he doesn't remember them as a consequence of the food, but if his heart was feeling full. I have to admit, great dinner parties that I remember basically revolve around great banter, excellent food, maybe taking the piss out of somebody, hopefully some sex thrown at some point in the evening, and that makes for a great dinner party, and one that was pretty boozed up and went on into the early hours. My heart feeling full? No, it doesn't register amongst it. When he says heart feeling full, this one's wife mirrors him by saying feeling full. Evidently, it isn't that they're on the same page. She knows what he's going to say because they've already talked through the little bon mots that are going to be thrown this way. She then explains to us that she gets so fussed about everything being perfect. Yes, that's that freakish eye for detail that we know so well. After all, she fusses about getting everything so perfect so that she regularly posts videos of her with food with her hair everywhere, and that she regularly wears unironed clothing, and she puts out a video showing a worm on food and spelling mistakes in literature. That she's so fussy about everything being perfect. Once again, this demonstrates the disconnect in the mind of this one's wife. She believes that she's this perfectionist. She believes that she is all of these things, and yet the evidence is to the contrary. More evidence of her narcissistic delusion. As she talks about this, she continues by explaining, you lose the magic that even happens in the mistakes, to which Will replies, the perfect imperfection that comes from human connection. This sends this one's wife into orgasmic delight. Yes, she yells, and looks around manically as if she's trying to get approval from the crew. You see why he's here. So far, this is fuck all about Christmas. You've basically got two like-minded individuals wanking on with meaningless phrases whilst they drink wine. Fascinating. Will uses phrases and words such as organically and being seen. So it's no wonder that he's been invited over, because for this one's wife it must be like dealing with a mirror. Next, they're on to making Christmas crackers. No, not the ones you eat, this one's wife tells us, but the ones that have toys inside of them. She explains that they're going to make them with the view of who is going to receive it. And off they go into the crafting house, past some decorated trees, and naturally somebody's already laid out all of the materials that are required. Will asks this one's wife if she's been crackers for long. I beg your pardon. He asks her if she's been doing crackers for long. And apparently, since she's lived in the United Kingdom, she knows that there's a big tradition in the United Kingdom, and that when we pull our crackers, we link arms as if you're going to sing Auld Lang Syne and pull the crackers. I can safely say I have never pulled a cracker in that manner. I've never seen anybody pull a cracker in that manner. So unless this is all going on and I've never come across it, and I've had numerous Christmas parties and attended them, this seems like it's a fairly niche thing that this one's wife has been engaged in, and she thinks this is a tradition that the whole of the United Kingdom indulges in. Will explains, that's awesome, a moment of community. No, it's not. It's pulling a cracker, and depending on where you've bought them from, you'll end up with a shitty joke and a paper hat, or if you've obtained them from Fortnum's, you'll end up with something made of silver inside. At that point, there's an interruption. It's the Brooklyn Bummer. No, P. Diddy hasn't appeared and decided to start anally violating people. Instead, it's the director who says that the gougères are getting in the way and they have to be moved. Ah, so they are. So the crew get to eat them. Ho, ho, ho. How wonderful as everybody delights in consuming the brilliant food that has been created by this one's wife. They then start making the crackers. This one's wife explains that he needs to anchor it in glue as opposed to anchor it in knowing, I suppose. They decide that confetti ought to go in them. Again, I can safely say that in all my years of cracker pulling, I have never unleashed one with confetti inside. Not only is it messy, it's unnecessary. This one's wife explains that she's adding some glue, but what will really hold it together is the bow. But Will counters with, what's going to attach it is the love we feel for the people we're making them for. At this one's wife makes a weird constipated face and slaps the table several times in delight as he's coming out with the fridge magnet platitudes that she revels in. Now you know why Will was invited. We're then given a little bit of insight into what this one's wife thinks that her children and Prince of Pink Pancakes should receive. Apparently, Lily really likes trying to be a grown-up lady at the moment, so this lavender rollerball, yeah, sure, that's what every kid wants, isn't it? Gee, thanks, Mum. A lavender rollerball, what am I meant to do with that? Trying to say I smell like an old lady? Stupid harpy. With reference to Harry, it's my husband, not Harry, objectification, has a little love letter. Probably saying, I love the way that you love me so much, because she's always saying about how much Harry loves her. There's some chocolate in a little hat, presumably not a crown, though. Then I'm on to Archie. I'm doing burgers. He loves the colour red. Right, so what's that then? The ketchup on the burger, and you're doing what? Sticking a burger inside the cracker for Archie? Poor old Archie the scapegoat. Then Will decides to call his wife because we need to pad some time. And this one's wife announces, hi, friend. And then they chatter away inanely for a little while, with Will's wife suggesting that for their son, that they have something that turns into a car when you push it along. To which there's laughter from Will and this one's wife. But then lo and behold, it would appear through the magic of television, as this one's wife announces, that a couple of cars have been found by a crew member. Maybe they have run straight off to the shops and purchased them, I suspect, and the crew member gets some acknowledgement in that regard as she sits making hearts with her hands. This one's wife explains that the key tenet of hosting isn't the provision of good food, an excellent selection of wine, witty repartee and badinage, but apparently it's grace. No, not the person called Grace, but grace in making people feel comfortable, which is laughable when it comes from somebody who regularly makes people feel uncomfortable by bullying them. They then pull a cracker, which is not this one's wife, and that's the end of that. Well, so far, we're something like about 15 minutes into this mess, and I must admit my will to live is being drained at this juncture. But I'll see if I can plough on and bring you more of the delights of this banality, and also continue to demonstrate the ways in which this one's wife's narcissism manifests. I'm HG Tudor. Thank you for listening.